Hello, everybody, and welcome to a subject that you probably don't care about or probably will stay because you have nothing else better to do. So, yeah, we're talking about medical in Arma 3. And today we have myself, James, hi, and we have Finozi. And we're the hosts of this podcast, if you aren't familiar with it. And then we have the lovable Panda and the absolute Chad Zere, who are both medics in our community, ICC, and who are willing to give their time to talk to us about their experiences over the years as medics.
Yeah,
Say hello,
I mean,
guys.
yeah, say hello.
Hey, I'm
yeah.
Panda. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
Starting
Sierra.
out
Sorry,
great.
that kind of overlapped. Sorry.
All right, Panda, go ahead first. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Panda, and it's awesome to join you guys on this podcast.
And
Yes.
Seer.
Yeah. I'm Seer, or for some other people, I'm ZereLaatikko. That's my full username. I'm here in this podcast by Vinosi and James, and it will be it's good to be here to talk about some medical.
Yeah, you two are I would say the most experienced out of all of the medics we have in the unit. Hence, we also chose you guys, and I hope you guys can today kind of explain to people that don't use medical or don't even play Arma free at all, just gamers, right? How does Arma free medical work, or to be more specific, the modded version of it, which we call Ace Medical, and then Cat to go on with it. I mean, in short, Panda, you think you could explain how Ace Medical in Arma Free, how we use it, is different from a standard video game where you press a button to heal?
Yeah. So in base Arma, you have a medical system where you heal with a spacebar, so one button, and you heal yourself. Ace Medical is a mod where it adds a menu to the game, so you can heal yourself up with bandages or other medical items, and it's a very basic system, but it adds a lot to the game.
Yeah, Zia, how would you describe like the routine of Ace Medical to when you let's say someone gets shot in his leg or something, like what happens at that point?
Well, in base Ace, rhymed actually, but in base Ace, the system is that once someone gets shot in the leg, it's pretty straightforward. You get you bandage the leg. If you have stitching enabled, you stitch it, and you're pretty much done. If they lost a lot of blood, then you might want to give them a blood bag or two. But it's not very complex.
Because as far as wounds go, right? Like you can break bones, so you have to use actual
You also have
break
splints.
bones. Yeah,
you also have splints as well. So
yeah. You can lose blood, which has severe consequences, right?
Yeah, obviously, blood loss is a thing in Ace, and I've noticed this multiple times that I've brought people back from fatal blood loss, which is kind of funny because it's fatal blood loss, but yet I can bring people back. But this is the game being funny.
Thank God it's a game.
Yeah, thank God it's a game. There's really nothing else to base Ace Medical when it comes to healing, injuries that don't cause unconsciousness. It's really, really straightforward.
Yeah, it's just at least when I play Arma Free and I go back to I don't know, like Squad, take that for example, right? It's like in Squad you're a medic, and if you have bandages or something on you, you just you hold space and it puts a little bandage, like it looks like he's putting a bandage on his leg or wherever you're really aiming with your mouse, and then that's kind of it. They wake up. Good job. And with Ace Medical, which is the mod for Arma Free that we use in the unit, you have to open an entire menu, right? And you have all these different options. You can check their pulse, so they don't have like a heart attack or something, cardiac arrest. You gotta fix that shit. And then they're also bleeding, and their bones may be broken, and then they lose too much blood, so their blood pressure goes down, and all these different things. And it sounds like a lot, but funnily enough, what I love the most about Ace Medical is that they made it, they designed it in such a way that it's pretty easy to understand. Like if we do trainings for this, right? Like how long do you think our trainings would take? If you go from like basic, medic, and then like to like training people later on, like how long do you think you would take to train someone at that first level, for example?
Like train someone with only base ace medical.
Yeah, let's say like the basic ace medical.
Like basic training.
Like
basic training.
basically like 5 or 6 minutes. It's really easy.
Yeah.
There's not a whole bunch of depth to it. Like of course there's more depth than to most games, but it's really straightforward in the end, and you don't really have to think about that many variables when you're trying to get someone back up from like being unconscious, for example. So
Yeah, true. Because to give a bit more context to it, the basic stuff is usually what we teach to our normal infantry soldiers. They're like the guys could be doing anti-tank stuff with rocket launchers, and they could be shooting a big machine gun. But they still need to know the medical stuff. It's like not just the medics that need to know this.
They need to know how to bandage themselves. Like so.
Yeah, basically.
With the basic training that we do is it's like, as we've explained probably before, that's like a tutorial on how to use the mods, right? So that's what we're basically given to a new player. We just get more experienced players to showcase that they actually know how to use it and they're familiar with the system. So we just teach them how to bandage, use the painkillers, and how to bandage other players. That's it. That's all, and use a tourniquet. That's really all they need to learn how to learn and know. Beyond anything else, if they want to learn more, they go off and do medic training and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
One thing I gotta say about training though is that hold on. So that brings me back. So medical training, even for the regular quote unquote foot soldier, even though we're not like a military, it's really important, because I see a lot of people, not a lot of trainers, but like there are some trainers that kind of tend to overlook the medical training, or they just skip it because they don't think it's like important for your average foot soldier, because they think that putting on a bandage is like very straightforward, or using a splint is very straightforward. No, you don't really just pick it up. Like, of course, you can pick it up like watching people, but you should go through the tutorial, because I remember back in idiots, like in the very first months of it. We didn't have any standardized training for anyone, and
that sounds chaotic.
With me and another person being the only medics in the unit, we kind of had to look over everyone. We had to be like babysitting everyone so that they actually like knew what their medical situation was.
Yeah,
I remember James, for example, being really incompetent with it, and we were just like, both me and I assume we were just screaming at like James, like, why are you using quick clots to close your
just for context, right? For context for everyone, I only had 12, not even 12 hours, like 6 hours of Arma played at this point when I joined Idiots. Like 6 hours, right? Yeah. That's 4 hours of single player and 2 hours of multiplayer.
And then jumping into like an advanced medical system at that point, it can be kind of overwhelming, I would say. But it's not the. I feel like right now, at least in ICC, we give a pretty good like idea of how important it is as well, because obviously what we talked about right now, so we go like we've got bandaging, so your wounds can reopen after you get the wound, so you start bleeding, which you lose blood. You've got to put a bandage on it, you got to stitch it, all that stuff. If you lose blood, you need to get more blood, etc. You can give CPR, all that stuff, because you can actually go into cardiac arrest because you've lost of blood, all that stuff. That is basic from what we use in ICC, right? Yeah. Because what we do, right, while not going over the Milsim threshold, as you can name it, I suppose, is we also use CAT with that, which the CAT medical rewrite is something that adds way more into it. I don't know if you can sum this up, Panda. Like, how would you sum up adding CAT medical into ACE, as like using ACE and plus CAT medical?
So basically, how I would describe ACE compared to CAT is that ACE is the easy version, and then CAT adds a lot of cool things, but it can be quite overwhelming once you just start out, especially if if English isn't your first language. The words that they use in that mod can be quite difficult.
Ah, yes, the all famous pneumothorax.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I
exactly.
remember having to explain to you like what a pneumothorax was like 3 times, like on different arms.
Oh god.
Yeah, like right now, if you say it, I don't know what the difference is because I have to see it and I kind of have to like know how the word is like written before I know. Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, because it has multiple variants of it,
Yeah,
which makes it even more difficult to differentiate. What do I need to do just to explain, right? To give a little bit of context to just what we're talking about. For people that don't know, a pneumothorax is essentially if you get shot in your chest, and it also fucks with your lungs. Like that's when you have a pneumothorax, and there's a lot of different variants. And you need to treat them differently. And I mean, Seer, like how would you, in simple terms, describe treating a pneumothorax and its different variations?
Well, in simple terms, if it's only a puncture with no fluids being poured into the lungs to make a big ouch, you just put a chest seal on. Essentially, that's like in very simple terms. Like you just seal it up like a balloon. But if you have the case, I can't remember the medical term because like I remember it when I do it, but I can't remember it when just talking about it. But then the other type of pneumothorax is when the lung is punctured and fluids start getting in. Then you have to drain the fluids first before you can start, patching up the lung itself.
Yeah, that would be your what's it called? Called the hemopneumothorax? That's the one.
The hemopneumothorax. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one when you have fluids in the lungs, as well as being punctured.
It's that's just like one of the variants, obviously, and you treat it differently. There's things with like decompressing lungs and stuff, and even though again this sounds extremely advanced and like, oh, this is way too realistic for a game, I don't know how to describe it, but like James, obviously, like you aren't like our like medic, right? You don't really take a medic role, but you do deal with the medical system, even with Cat, right?
Yeah.
Like from you as like a sort of like a squad leader perspective on like directing medics, but also
For
being
me,
like, what is it like to be down, for example, right? Like, what was that process like?
What's it like being down?
Like down by a bullet.
You're just sitting down and you go onto Instagram to look through people's stories for 15 minutes, and your screen is still black. It's just black screen. That's all you have. That's what you're doing for. At most, I've been down for 15 minutes. 15 minutes at most.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
I feel like that's very
gameplay gone.
It depends on the. I mean,
it depends on
that's
the
a
injury,
very
how bad
injury and medic and what type of operation you have. Because if you do a history type of mission, you're gonna have less medical equipment to help you. But if it's a modern one, you might be down for 5 minutes, right? But essentially, it's looking at a black screen and then hearing all the medics around you like yell in chaos while gunfire and explosions going on, and then they're saying, "Oh fuck, this man's bleeding out,"
and then they're saying they're taking your shoes, or "Hey, you got nice aviators, I'm going to take them." "Oh, you've got a nicer gun, I'm going to take that. You can have my gun instead." While you're down, or you can do a cadet and take your 152.
Yeah, exactly. They just pull out the pistol and say, "Well, sorry, buddy, I don't have enough blood for you, and I can't get you back up, so there's a bullet to your brain."
That's the cadet treatment. I'm calling that the cadet treatment because he just looks and he says, "Well, we've got no more medical supplies left. I don't have enough shit to like bring you back from the dead. So the treatment and diagnosis is skill issue, 9mm to the head."
Yeah. No, but in general, 90% of the time, it is the case of you'll get medic. They will take 5 to 10 minutes, but it's the being down. I think that seems like such a boring thing to people, but I think it's cool. That you still get to hear the chaos around you going on. And all you see is the black screen and you don't know, but you hear this gunfire and medics yelling at, "No, I need blood, like someone get the logistics truck and get some blood." And everybody is trying their damnedest to actually get you up, to actually get you enough blood to like stitch you up or fix your airway systems and like literally make you like vomit so like you can breathe again and that type of stuff, right? Clearing your airways.
Like if you fall down,
it's really cool.
If you fall down in the open in a charge across an open field into a town or something, you go down, then you can hear the team leader or the squad leader saying, "Get smoke out and drag him back to cover." And then you're hearing people to get the AR up or the MG up to suppress fire for the medic to like quickly put tourniquets on you and drag you back. It's really cool to listen to it because you can actually hear the people actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then you can criticize them as well, which is hilarious. They think you're not listening, but you are listening. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually always, when I play medic, I actually always talk to my patients every time they're down. I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but
Oh yeah, I have.
I've like picked it up from like Salim, who was a member back in Idiots. He did the same thing, and I picked it up from him. That I talked to my down patients, like, okay, yeah, you'll be up soon. Don't worry, I'll get you up, bro, or something similar.
Yeah.
And I think people haven't really admitted it or said anything specific about it, but I think that just kind of adds to the immersion of the entire situation as well.
It does.
It is funny because every time I go there, like there yesterday, we done a World War II up where we were. I think it was Finnish Norwegian type of mixed soldiers in Berlin, and I went down a few times, and there was Baddie, he was the medic, and Maury. They were just talking to me. They're just talking to me. Like, Baddie was saying, don't worry, James, you'll wake up soon. You're so cute today. You know, all that shit. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
It is.
It's really funny to listen to, and I like providing the little entertainment when you're down, because I know for a fact a lot of people just listen to it.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
but-
listen to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to make
like,
it a little more entertaining than just black screen and silence and gunfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I still did like the medical training for medics, I because I took a small break for that. But all the people that got taught medical by me, they have learned from me that they should talk to their patients because when they are down, they are bored. So I was like, oh, just talk to them and they'll text you through Steam or something like that. You know, like make the op fun for them too when
Yeah,
they're
call
down.
call them your little kitten or something.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
exactly.
No, don't say exactly to that. Jesus. No, yeah, definitely.
I'm
Speaking
actually
of
trying
medical
to recall
training,
the weirdest shit that I've told people when they have been down.
what's the weirdest?
I'm trying
What's
to
the
remember
weirdest?
all the stuff that I've said.
Oh, to be honest with you, you probably have an archive of it somewhere.
Yeah, I probably do. Like
You
somewhere
don't-
on
you
my
don't
like
even
some
realize
random
'cause
some
it's just-
random filler to spout nonsense at people when they're down.
I definitely have that somewhere in my ops. I got
Yeah,
17 videos there. I'm going to root through for Zere as medic now.
But I mean, Panda, you train. You do like the bunch of trainings. Like you and me together even did a training where we had 8 people that all wanted to do medical training. Because there were some people that left like halfway through like break or something, and then we needed to get more medics. So we said, "Yo, guys, who wants to learn medical? We'll do a big training session." Like we all sat together. But I remember that was difficult because you're trying to explain, like especially if you're listening to this in a way, you're listening from the perspective of I've never played Arma 3, especially this sounds extremely advanced. And for a lot of those plays, it still is, even if you know basic, like it's pretty advanced stuff, and it is a learning process. Like I don't know, how long did we take to train those people?
I would say about 2 hours. Usually the training goes a lot faster, but because there was like different levels of knowledge about
Definitely.
the game and gaming itself, it was really difficult because we had to like start at zero basically, because there were people that didn't game for very long, so we had to tell them how to go to options and how to change settings and stuff. And then there were people that wanted training that were with us for a very long time at that point, and they just wanted the training to see how fun it was and stuff. So those people got through it very fast, but because there's like a different level of knowledge about the game, it took a lot longer because you have to explain everything detail by detail. So it took like 2 hours. I
Yeah,
would
definitely.
say.
We ended up with a lot more medics, which I mean, in turn made the ops really good. And I mean, even then, if you do the medical training, I feel like doing medical training and the theory of it, and even if you do a bit of practice during it, obviously, because we do practical stuff and we have an exam at the end, so to speak, a quote unquote exam sounds very scary. You just do like at least the way I do it is we nowadays have like a program, an old like coded thing set up where you can do difficulty 1 to 3 net. They have to just do all the difficulties starting with 1, they're going up to 3, and if they pass all of that on their own, then they essentially become like full-fledged like medics. They get like certification so they can play in the operations and ICC and stuff. But even then, you got the theory, you did the exam. The experience is what matters most. Like experience is gonna get you through. Because I realized personally as well, like I do my own routine. I know some people say they need to stitch first or bandage or do this first, then that. And then so another medic would say, yeah, but then you're down for a long amount of time. You should do this first. And everybody, from what I've noticed, has their own way of doing medical, their own like order of doing things. Some talk to their patients and some don't, for example.
Like for me, right, if there's no medic available yet and there's a guy in front of me, I know how to deal with that initial part and make the medic's job easier, right? That's just because of how long I've been playing now that I know this stuff, and I've been listening to Zere, IS2, Cadet, Panda. I've been listening to the medics, and I do pick up a few things. To where if I did do medic training, I'd pick it up very quickly, So for me, like I if the guy is like completely red, tourniquet all his limbs and bandage as much as his torso or head as possible for the medic.
Yeah,
that's the basics of what you should be doing first.
Yeah, that's what I personally usually do. So if someone goes down, depending on the type of injury, it's always tourniquet the limbs, depending on how severely the limbs are wounded, of course, and then bandage the head and the torso, and then start working on. At least for me, I started working on
the limbs. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not the limbs, but like after I'm done bandaging. First thing I start working on is the airway management, because I learned from hard experiences that if you don't take care of it early enough, they're just going to die.
Yeah, the airway
because their SpO2 levels are just gonna go down. And
there's been a few times in like when I was the squad leader, like when someone that's literally just done the medical training is medic in an op, where they forget about the airway management, and I've reminded them about there because they're like, how is he not awake? And you can hear him puking, and they're still wondering why is he not awake? It's because you haven't done the head turning, you haven't actually done the medical suction, you haven't actually cleared his airways,
Yeah.
And they're the type of steps that adds on to the difficulty that actually gives you a good bit of reward and like a lot more gameplay. Mechanics to the game in medical, because in base Arma you just get given a first aid kit, scroll wheel, first aid kit, there you go.
Yeah, that's why I really almost got addicted to the medic role for like a good 1.5 years, because just how interactive it is, or how just how rewarding it is to just do that relatively complex medical procedure in game. And then seeing them wake up and just be like, "Yo, bro, you're awake now. I will do the last finishing touch."
How did I manage this? It's funny you mentioned this, because I feel a part of why Ace Medical works the way it does, and it works so well, is that there is genuine serious reward for putting in all this effort. Because again, it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot to learn. The 2-hour training, but usually takes an hour, which still is a lot to train something from a video game. But you're basic. What are you doing? You're giving them basic first aid skills. That's what you're learning first of all. That some stuff giving knowing how to treat different wounds, knowing what to do with area management, all that stuff. You're teaching them so much that yes, it takes an hour, but if you learn it and you hone those skills, you get enough experience to also do it in the ops, and you do it in the operations we hold and missions we do, and you get that patient up that I don't know, got hit by a mortar shell and is fully red over his entire body on the menu. It's so satisfying. You could be working on a dude that I don't know, let's say James, you were down for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Those 15 minutes for you were okay, it's been 5 minutes. They are still trying, but I'll scroll my WhatsApp or something or my your social media. Some people do that at some point, but those medics that are outside of your blacked out screen, they're trying their hardest to get you up. They're giving you blood. They're checking your pulse and your O2 levels, and they're just yelling at each other, and you're just there like, oh yes, nice meme on Instagram. And that's really funny.
It's a difference between
cool.
like you could literally like make like a pretty good like comedy sketch of that. Like it's like the medic is just like, don't worry, bro, I'm gonna get you up. Get the pneumothorax.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong terminology. Sorry.
Oh, but like it's really cool to see, and I feel like if you can pull this off during operations, during the heat of combat, it's super satisfying to use Ace Medical. And I don't know, like I know you pan that, but like comparing Arma Free to any other game where you heal, like it doesn't necessarily need to be a military game. It just doesn't feel as satisfying because it's just pressing a button.
Yeah. Like the reason why I was so interested in playing Arma was because of the medical system that they had. Because in all the games that I found where you have healing, it's usually like things like bandaging or like a salve that you can apply and then you're fully healed again, or you have like a toxin that you have to remove, so you eat something and it's gone, you know? Like, they make it very easy, so that you don't have to bother with fixing yourself up, and you can go back to the action again. And I think it works for a lot of games, but in Arma, you need that extra medical system to not only make it fun for the players that don't medic, but also for the medics themselves. Because when you're down, it isn't just like, oh, I'll just give you a bandage so you can get up. It's like actually working on something and like working your hardest to fix someone and get them up so that they can have fun again. And I don't know. I find it very fun.
I mean, that's where the medics get their fun out of. Like, it's like I said, it's rewarding to the medics to do all of this stuff, right? It's making sure that people like that may go down, they are immersed in what they're doing, and it's a fun immersive experience, and that they're not down too long, whatever. All that stuff is like that's in the medic's hands. Like, that's a lot of responsibility, but it's also really just rewarding at the end that, you know, you get to do this and that you have the responsibility and then you can get to pull this stuff off. And it's personally for me as a medic as well, because I do a lot of medicing, is that it's really amazing to just, if they've been down for a long time, they have like severe injuries, just a fatal loss amount of blood, everything, the whole deal, and you get them up and they go like, holy shit, how did you get me up? How am I still alive? Like, that reaction, that is amazing. That just, you don't get that with a click of a button. Yeah, you don't get that by playing like a Team Fortress 2 medic or something and holding down the little beam button.
Yeah,
you don't get that from a squad and putting a little bandage on his like leg or something.
Yeah,
you don't get that.
I was down so many times in that op there yesterday. I don't even know how I was still alive. Like, I was down. I'd probably downed about 4 or 5 times in that entire op before Cadet just decided to say, well, skill issue, 9mm to the head.
Yeah.
You know,
stop dying,
like,
James.
Like, I got hurt so many times with overpressure from the tank, being shot at, being grenaded. You know, I got hurt a lot, and I don't know how I didn't die sooner. But that's because of the likes of Baddie and Amori, I think it was, that showed up to the op, and they were the medics. They kept me alive, essentially.
Yeah, it's that, like I said, like that. And for them, that must have been a fun experience as well. So, obviously, it is a lot. Like, we're not going to deny here, denial and deny it and say, like, this is, like, a pretty normal thing. Like, anybody could do this. I feel like you need, like, a certain amount of commitment to a game to, like, get into it. Again, it's rewarding, it's fun, it's good stuff, but I feel like there is a limit to how far you can go. And I think it might be fun. So obviously we use Ace, we use Arma Free, and then we modify with Ace Medical, and then we just yeet a fucking Cat Medical on top of it, which adds airway systems and stuff, right? We do all of that, and then Cat had an update recently, which boy, did that give us like trouble and discussions in our Discord and what are we gonna do? Because essentially the update sort of, when it initially came out, it merged with another mod that added so much medication and so much stuff that you had to relearn and then some what we already were doing for years now. And there's a lot of medics didn't want to do it, I feel like, and we were forced to use parts of it, luckily. But there is a certain amount where you would just say like, this is too realistic. This is too milsim. Like, I don't know where the limit, like where's the boundary, you know?
Yeah, so kind of what you have to keep in mind is that Arma 3 is a game. However realistic it might look, it's still a game, and you join the community to have fun. So when I look at a mod to add, or in general, to see if we have to remove the mod, I look at how realistic is this gonna be? Is this gonna be fun at all? And is this gonna add too much time that we would need to spend on medical for one person to let the rifleman enjoy the game? Because right now we want to have the normal fieldman down for like 5 to 10 minutes max. If it goes over that, I think for our unit, it's too much. And I would say we as our unit, we do it still pretty casual. So the medical system is there, and you need to do certain things. You need to do certain things before you can get a person up, but it's done pretty easily. Like, I know units that where they use the full cat medical mod, and they are down for like 30 minutes.
And that's the norm. Like, that's the norm.
Yeah, that's the full mod, right? So that's the norm, to be down for 30 minutes. And at that point, I'm like, well, right, okay, it's fun for the medics, but for the riflemen and the people that are down, it's not fun. Because what are you gonna do in those 30 minutes as a rifleman? And you're down and you're looking at a black screen, right? Like, it isn't fun at that point anymore. So, yeah, me as one of the medics, I would just want to look at how much fun are the riflemen gonna have before we add a mod or we remove something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Zero, what are your thoughts on the whole cat update that we had recently? Like, in terms of, like, the obviously the stuff that we kept. But just hearing, the idea of having to administer medicine through specific needles, for example, was part of the update. And then give them different types of medication, then like shock them with defibrillator, all of that stuff, just because they're in cardiac arrest, which is realistic. But like, to me, that already on paper didn't sound fun. Like, I don't know what your opinion on that is, but
well, yeah, I wasn't the same page, because I was personally like, I was looking through it and I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna take like another 3 hours at least to learn the basics up, and probably another 10 ops before I can properly get the hang of this shit, because of how complex it got. And I think the stupidest part about the update was that initially it didn't have enough space for like options, and I feel like it was like they were, it was kind of like being forced to be like, hey, this is the new system, you're now going to use it, without any options for proper customization. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was difficult because I had to take an entire day out of my schedule just to sit down and do like so many tests on different medication and whatnot. And I realized that even if I tweak the settings to essentially easy mode, you just can't get like a patient to be at that level of like below 10 minutes. Like, you would have a max of like 23 minutes, which is as short as I could go. Like, that's where I think it's too much. That's where it gets too realistic.
Yeah.
And I mean, James, I don't know if you remember this, but like, do you remember the time we played with? It was basically a compilation of units, like a collective of units together doing a bunch of ops, and we did a bunch of joint ops. And I remember when we joined that they had, well, quote unquote medical teams, which would have to run a pilot and everything, right? But it was so strange how if you went down, they'd send a helicopter, they'd pick you up, they'd fly you all the way back to base. Keep in mind this trip is only like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? Then they'd medic you up, so to just keep you stable to that point. They'd medic you back up at base.
The way they did it is they had the medics as like not the like in the US Marine Corps they have corpsmen, right? Corpsman is the medic, right? They're embedded with the platoon. So that's the medic in the platoon that saves that guy's life, you know? And then he gets brought back to the rear into the support elements, to the doctors and to the surgeons, right? Essentially, their medics were in the rear in the support element, and they were acting as doctors and surgeons with no medic on the field. Which was strange because all everyone was doing is, oh, this guy's down, just bandage him up a bit and tourniquet him and then send him back to the rear in the chopper.
Yeah,
but it's that sense that it's their style of gameplay to give a logistics element to it and a bit more of a punishment element for the guy that probably done a stupid mistake that he won't and should not repeat in the op. But in my opinion, you should always have a medic in the squad.
Personally, I think it was like way too tedious, at least
Yes.
me, because it was like a 20-minute trip because I broke my leg.
Yeah.
Because of Arma bullshit as well. It was like, bruh.
So if you like breaking your leg either because you either got armored, or you literally just decided to go down a 1 meter drop and you broke your leg for that, or it's just because you got shot up in the leg so much you got a .5 caliber round to your leg and it completely broke your leg. Now you have to tourniquet that and splint it, but you can't splint it because infantry don't get splints. You can't give yourself morphine because you probably weren't given morphine because only medics will be able to give you that, and you probably only have a bandage, so you only can bandage yourself to a degree before the wound starts bleeding again. So now you have to go back and do a stupid 10-minute trip all the way back to the rear at spawn basically, and then go another 10-minute trip to get back to your squad. It's a tedious process.
It's the way that unit set it up. It was very like to their niche, and a lot of the people that joined it, including us, we were like, this is not how you do it, according to us. And we weren't the only one that had an issue with it. They died it down a bit at some point. But it's really interesting, though, like that everybody, like, obviously we talk about it, right? But everybody has their own way of doing medical. Everybody has their own way of setting up the settings, because when this comes to Ace Medical and Cat, there's so many settings you can change. You can change how fast the IVs go in for giving blood. You can change how long it takes to bandage. You can change how much oxygen they need in their body to wake up or to be conscious. You can change so much that I feel like every unit of such community will just tweak it to the point where they have their own niche version of Ace/Cat Medical. And I feel like that works, but it doesn't work if you play with a lot of people together. And I think that's where they went wrong, in my own personal opinion.
Because we had, 60 players in that?
Yeah, they had 60 players, yeah.
And actually, the strangest thing about their playstyle that I found out was not the fact that they evacuate people from the field. It was the fact that they were doing it in base Ace. Like, they didn't even have Cat Medical as far as I remember.
They had base Ace, yeah.
Yeah, they were using bases as well, which is like, I found it super strange that they would go all this length to do a simple interaction.
It was as if they were trying to do milsim realism, but the wrong way.
Yeah. But like, I mean,
like Kenosi said, it's their own niche, and that's like fine.
Safe to say we don't necessarily play in that collective of units anymore, but no,
a lot of
generally there was a good part to the op.
And actually, to quickly touch upon the thing, so give some context to the listeners. So what happened in that group is that the ops got a little repetitive, and people were just like, okay, I don't think this is going to work, and then it's gonna fell apart.
I remember doing 2 free ops in a row.
And we
where
just convoy operations.
Yeah, when we just doing convoys, like literally, like okay, sure, like driving apart is cool. Doing like the going through like a Middle Eastern themed map with like as like US Rangers or US Marines, whatever. And a convoy is cool. You get ambushed. Like cool. That's a very generic mission. You've played it 5 times already, or you just play for a few hours. That's cool. But if you make the entire op about the convoy, right, and you just drive for like a literal hour. And the other hour of the op is just you getting out because someone says dismount on your leader says dismount, and there's no contact. Like that gets very repetitive.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
And then there was like I joined one of those convoy ops. I was not impressed.
The only operation that I like really enjoyed in that like group was when we did the I think it was like the 3 or 4 hour long British intervention in Finland operation. That was pretty good.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
It had varying combat. We actually had to like go on tasks, and different squads actually had to like fight and take different areas. And I still remember this really funny clip from that operation where me, Sixy, and I think it was Butter were the last ones alive in my squad, and we had to recover a radio from our squad lead. And I remember the clip of Sixy going there. It was next to a BTR that had wiped us out. He tries to sneak to it. He gets to the radio. He's like, okay, yeah, guys, like the radio. Then he screams on the radio, and then we can just hear the machine gun fire in the background.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, I mean, like, they had a few good ops, but I think in general, like, doing convoy ops isn't a bad thing.
No,
not at all. They're fun, but there needs to be a balance, right?
Like for me, convoy ops are very, very hard to do because, in the sense that there's the convoy ops. You've got your humanitarian type of convoy op. You've got your resupply convoy op. You've got just a convoy op, right? And it's just you need to know how a convoy works because in the one that I joined for that coalition of groups. I wasn't happy because it took them an hour to even get the teams ready, and it took them another 30 minutes to get the convoy up and running. It just felt like it wasn't thought through very well at all, or organized.
Even then, right? Even then, when we got moving, we stayed in information for like 5 to 10 minutes before it completely broke down.
Yeah. The server died as well. Like
server pressure.
Yeah, I remember in another convoy.
When we got into contact, it was like none of the infantry was actually doing the contact. It was just the vehicles and the .5 guns and the fucking main cannons of the AFEs that were just dismantling the ambush. The infantry got no fun at all.
Yeah. I still remember, like, actually, like, you say infantry didn't get any combat. I was in the doctor's team on, like, one of the convoy operations. Like, I think it was, like, the first, like, 100% purely like convoy op. I was in the medical team.
Yeah,
the convoy breaks apart like usual, and we're driving to our next like location or like our next medical evacuation area. Because we didn't have any proper infantry or other fighting unit cover. The 2 ambulances at the 4 of us are driving through this like road in Altus, and then we get chased down by like an enemy jeep, and we, no joke, get more combat than the infantry units, fighting off an ambush that drove ahead of us, dismounted, and shot at the medical team.
You know what's funny about that, right? Is I think it was doing the same op. When you guys were like still in the back, like for most of the op.
Yeah.
I was basically going up to the other platoon leaders and saying, because obviously they're from different units, so you gotta like learn how their leading style and stuff works. But I was like, okay, well, I know you guys use the doctor team and stuff, but like, I've got guys that actually got contact after an hour, but I've got 2 down. And they're being stabilized, but I need a medic. And they go, oh, wait, there's contact there? Like, that was already their biggest fucking surprise that there was fucking contact. And then they were like, okay, but if there's contact there, we're not sending the medics in because they'll get shot and we'll lose the medics. That's not smart. Okay, yeah, but there was contact. Like 3 guys in 1 hour. Like, it's clear, trust me. Have we played the same op? And I was not allowed to move up you guys at all and like send a guy to pick you up because it would be too dangerous to move up the medical team.
Right.
Even though I've got 2 of my squad members just literally bleeding out next to me. It's like, that was the weirdest shit ever.
And the medical team like gets ambushed on their way without any other like unit protection. It's like the irony of the situation. It's like
it's
immense.
so
it just brings
bad.
home of what we're actually seeing in real life in a certain area, like of how badly disorganized that other side is.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me, like, at all. Like, if you're gonna run it this way, okay, fine. But the fact that a platoon lead is telling you it's clear, it's fine, it was only literally 3 guys. I've literally got a platoon of guys there. The medics will be fine. I've got a lot of firepower still left over to protect those medics.
Yeah.
You know, we can literally go into a building or go behind a big, huge rock and they're fine. You know, it's not like they're going to die to a sniper. Vasili's site sev is just waiting for the medic to come up.
Yeah, it was such a strange op. But when it comes to like a decent convoy operation, if it needs to be balanced, you need to get that ambush in. Maybe and it'd be nice to see we have them, but I feel like we misuse them or not use them properly at least, right? Where you know how you have like mine clears, right?
Yeah.
Which is the funniest thing to do with as a medic because you can literally see the people. You see the mine, you see the EOD. He's doing his thing, and he goes, "Oh, I need to get a little bit closer." And it's 2 seconds later, he just flies in every direction because he was a bit too close to the mine. And then it's just like medic, and it's like you as a medic, you just stand there going, he's in multiple pieces. How do you want me to fix this? He's gone.
Yeah, I
That's
relate
great
to this
thing.
a lot. Like
It's great.
this happened. I think this happened in like James. Do you remember like the USMC campaign back in '80? It's like the first campaign of operations you took part in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember when we were like having like that glorious 2-vehicle convoy,
Oh, yeah.
and we had to send our EOD guy ahead, and he defused the mine. I think this exact same thing happened. He got too close to the mine, and he just blew up in his face,
think
and
it was
he insta
IS
died.
too.
And then our squad lead was just like, "Yo, get him up," and I'm just like, "What the hell is there to pick up? This guy's head is in a million pieces."
There's literally nothing. He just died straight away. Like, it was IS2, I think, if I remember. He was EOD, and you were
Yeah.
a medic at the time. And he went up, and he got a little too close because it's Ace. He had to use Ace Interact, and
Yeah.
I think he misjudged it because he sprinted over, and then he just pressed the Z key for
Jesus.
prone, and it was as if he'd done a belly flop onto the
Yeah, he
mine
belly
because he
flops to the
misjudged it
mine.
totally. It was so
Yeah.
funny though.
Yeah, it was.
Because all you
Uh,
could say is, all you could hear is IS2 just say, "Oh shit, boom," because he realized his mistake.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta say that's the art of Arma.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just like
Don't mind the art of war. The art of Arma is what is required.
yes, yeah. The art of Arma is that moments of realism the best experience of Arma is when the moments of realism are interrupted by the most hilarious, the most absurd, like non-realistic moment or like a game-breaking bug. Of course, in like a way that doesn't like piss people up, but like it's like actually funny.
Yeah,
Or,
no,
like-
that's kind of, I think, like, what we do this in the unit as well, right? This is kind of like our intention when we make ops, is that we have fun. And we obviously came with this very good way to summarize this. Obviously, it's taken by a really big unit, so we can't release it, but serious fun is a really good way to summarize it, because like you said, it's that immersiveness. You have the good, cool medical system. It's very immersive. Every part of every aspect of, like, even if you have an artillery team, they're doing math to make sure the shells don't land on the friendly troops, right? Like, there's so much stuff that like makes it immersive and then cool. And then the most random buggy stuff will happen. And as long as there's room to laugh about it, as long as there's room to make jokes, I feel like that creates a really good operation balance.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can go easily go overboard with it sometimes, but even then, that's still also for the more casual side of fun, right?
Yeah, I actually remember from like the last stop we did, the World War II one, where Soviet in the armor team, where they experienced like I wasn't there for like most of them, but I saw the clips of him like having having his tank just flung into space like 3 times in the same op.
Oh yeah, the really weird physics.
Yeah.
But I mean, Panda, you like you said right earlier you said I liked Armor Free, and it was interesting to me because medical was like an in-depth system, was just the button click. That was interesting to me. So do you still join ops purely because for the medical system, or have you found different things you like about Arma and why you keep playing it?
Well, I stopped with medical a few months ago, mostly because when I started with Arma, all I did was be a medic, and I wanted to explore Arma a bit more and see what it could give me as a game. So I started with like leading, because with such big units and groups and stuff, right? You need someone to lead everyone, and I thought, hey, that's cool. It's gonna help me personally as well. So I thought, hey, let's try that. I did everything. It was okay. Didn't really enjoy it at some points. Then I went to something else. Like I wanted to just drive and explore the vehicles a bit more. So then I went into crewman and looked at that. Like, there's so many options in Arma which can make it so fun to play and look at the different aspects of an op and think about different things during the op. It's so much fun. It gives so much options. It's just honestly such a great game and such a good sandbox, I would say.
You can call it a sandbox, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
sandbox.
Yeah, it's really good with the amount of options that you have. And you can basically do anything in the game.
Yes,
and it'd
to
be
give an
fun.
example, Zophia's working on a Minecraft op, so I feel like you can really
Yeah.
argue the point. You can do
Yeah.
anything you want.
Yeah.
Warhammer, Minecraft. I wonder how medical is going to work on Minecraft.
Oh, dude, the
Are we
amount
just
of
going to eat food?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be funny.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wonder,
you
I wonder
could,
how
that
the
would be
operation
really
is
funny.
going to play out.
I really wonder, but there's so many themes, like even if you, especially in the sci-fi scene, I feel like there's so many different presets, there's so many options in Arma, like you said, that you're never really done playing it. I feel like if you commit too much to it, though, there's a real risk there. I mean, personally, right, so I obviously work with the staff team as well to run ICC, and I'm a mission maker with that as well. I commit to a lot on a daily basis when it comes to Arma Free, and I've had some... I mean, some people would say I need to take more breaks, but I've had some like severe Arma-free burnout. Like, I feel like Arma-free burnout is like a serious issue for committed like veteran players, especially for medical, because medical is the most intense role you could take in Arma besides leading, maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, have you guys ever had like serious Arma-free burnout?
Last year during these months, actually, I took like a 1.5 month break because of
Yeah.
burnout.
I don't need it. My job does that for me.
Maybe I'm just like, I just unleash all my free time on Arma Free, and that's not something I should do.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
I myself had a medical burnout and not a Arma burnout. Because basically, I was at the time the only medic that was available. So because we have a rule to say that we need one medic every op, right?
Yeah.
So
Per squad, actually.
yeah, but like at least one medic, depending on how big the amount of people are.
You need at least one.
You need more, but you need at least one, and that was also a rule at the time that we had, and because no one else wanted to do it, I was the only one that could do it, and because I had so much free time, because I was still like a student in my first year, right? I had the time to do it, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll like this. But that would like mean that I had like 3-4 ops a week where I was the only medic for like 15 people sometimes per op. And at that point, you're just done with it after like few months.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I remember that you were like this sole medic we had for a long time, and it was like it's like the meme of you that we need a medic, the yes honey meme. You know, it's like yes, okay, fine, I'll be a medic again.
I can relate to this a lot. Fucking idiots. When it was literally like me and IS2, we were just abused as the medics. Where we were to a point where we were just like, okay, yeah, we're basically just known as the doctors in the unit.
Oh yeah,
You weren't the only one abused.
Yeah, you always got leader spots, and you still basically get like 90% of leader spots.
Yeah,
but like like for me, popular what you guys may not think is I actually do take a break, even though I'm out of the way. I know I'm so busy, but like I like how I explain this. I don't like taking breaks from my armor free burnout. I like dialing it down because I can't fully escape armor free on a daily basis. There's always something because running a community type of deal. But I do really have to like take a step back sometimes and say like, God damn, especially as a mission maker, if you make. Because as you know, I don't know if you remember, if any of you remember, but there was a time where I made an op every other day.
Yeah.
And that was so... Like, I was committed to it because I had a list that I wanted to do. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to see how far I can push my mission making while still making good ops, right? And at the point where the ops got worse and worse, I quit. But, like, I made an op every other day. And I don't know if you know, but most people do this, like, once a week or once every 3 weeks. And it takes them multiple days to make an operation. So I was like committed, grinding till like late, like too early in the morning, right? Just to get the ops done, just to fix it. Because there's a lot to mission make, which I won't get into right now. But it is a whole entire process. And that burnt me out so bad. I was like, I can't even just go to Steam and look at the armor free page on library. I just couldn't. I was so done with it. That's the only time I've taken like a full break, just full stop. Like, that was insane.
And
yeah.
You do realize that the term armaholic is an actual term?
yeah.
There's a
Armaholic is a pretty
website named
fitting term. Oh my god. Yeah. My god. The terrible times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun though. I made some really good ops and I learned a lot from that as well. But sometimes you really gotta pull on the brakes, and especially if you do a lot of leading or a lot of medicing, I feel like those are the two biggest intensive ones. You gotta really go into it. But like even then, even if you earn that burnout, you say like you're kind of burning out slowly. You feel you're getting a bit more exhausted playing each op, and it takes a little bit more self-motivating to get into the op and get them presets downloaded and stuff. Even then, if you do join, I find that there are sometimes are just these ingenious, these amazing, funny moments. Would that be as a medic, where you just have really funny player injuries or in-con scenarios, or just anything like you said, we were mentioning earlier, like the art of Arma, so to speak, right? The art of war in that sense. Yeah. The really funny moments, they make up for it, because then you realize you're like, fuck, yes, that's why I play. That's why I play Arma. That's why I don't quit, because it's always that fun community experience at the end of the day that keeps me from coming back. I don't know if you guys have any particular, to stick it to the thematic episode that we're trying to record here, any specific medical scenarios that you think like this is amazing? Like I've never thought I've experienced stuff like this, but
this specific scenario where he says, "Oh, this is why I keep playing Arma."
Yeah, one of those.
Okay, so personally, one of my best like medical experiences, but also one of the most exhausting ones, was I can't remember if it was. I think it was back in Idiots again, because this was like just when I started like properly getting the hang of Cat, and I think it took place in our first Liberation back then. And in case you don't know what Liberation is, it's a game mode that is completely like AI driven, and most of the time doesn't have a game master or Zeus, and it kind of develops on how the players want to do it, and you kind of conquest the entire map. But anyway, so we were doing that Liberation op, and we attack. I think it was a biggest airfield on Journers, and we take mass cast. We take mass cast like a few minutes after entering the airport, and I somehow managed to keep like 70% of the mass cast alive with like another person like aiding me. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Lee or
I've been
with your
doing it.
eyes too. But anyway, so I was trying to keep everyone alive, and I somehow managed to save like 70%. So like, actually not 70%. That's a bit more, but like, I think like 6 people went down, and I managed to get 4 people up from like severe injuries, and that was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna commit myself into being a medic now. This is really fun. Like,
Yeah,
it's just yeah. Go ahead.
I also had something like that. It was still in the other unit that wow, what's it called again, man? It's been
Second
so
Berserk
long.
or 22nd SU? Which one?
I wasn't in 22nd. I was in 2nd Berserker at that time, and I was the only medic, right? So we were like in a big ass city, and one team got full on like wiped, and at that point I was the only medic, so I had to get them up, and that was like that was like 6-7 people that I had to get up, and at that point I was like, the fuck, how am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
And
If you listened for the podcast up to this point, you'll know that like the systems we explained, right? Imagine trying to get 6-7 people up with all of that stuff you got to do. That's insane.
yeah, but at that time we didn't use cat, so it was only Ace at that moment. But it was still a lot because their bodies would full on run, right? So they were severely injured, to the point where I was like thinking, can't I just shoot them in the head? At this point, that's a better option.
The cadet method, yes.
Yes.
Well, who do you know?
Euthanization.
Who do you think he got that from? I was like, cadet, if they are like
Panda is the
too red, and like you can just shoot them in the head if you want. Like if it's too much to do, you can just shoot them in the head. That's what I
It's a
will also
mercy.
do.
It's a
Yeah,
mercy.
honestly,
It's
it
euphony.
is. Yeah, but like there were 7 people down, and at that point I had pretty severe social anxieties at that time, but I had to take control of the situation because the team lead was also down. So I had to call the other team over, tell them to help me get all these people up, and basically telling everyone what to do with medical when they didn't have any medical
That sounds
experience.
really stressful, yeah.
It was. And basically what happened is I got everyone up with the help of the other team, and everyone was alive by the end of it. And I was so happy that I just went like, yeah, okay, I'm done with medical for the next month now.
Just
But
talking about armor-free burnout, that shit just burned you out like that. You
Yeah,
burned through
it
your
did.
entire like patience in one like hour.
yeah, but it was so much fun just being able to express myself fully when you have such bad anxiety. It really helped me a lot to grow as a person, but also like it was so much fun, honestly. I would just suggest trying it out. And it's gonna be super stressful, but it's so much fun, and I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, no, that's it's really funny to hear a story because I also remember, I remember how you like were the only medic type of it. It was like and even then I think this kind of translated into ICC as well. Like you were head medic essentially in second circuit head medic, and you still continued that into ICC and you did most of your training for the medics, and then we had sort of like after the merger between second circuit and idiots was kind of fully completed. Yeah, like you and Seer, who were like you guys like taught so many medics, and that I feel like that's when we also had the room to add cat medical, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have someone like Zare or you to teach other people how cat medical works or how medicing and how based off your experience, how do you actually medic in this system that we use? Like if you can't do that, like, if you have to do it on your own, this is impossible to make it even more difficult. We got so many more medics that medics just got bored with normal Ace medical, or we had to add more. We had to like dial it up because it was just boring. And
Add to the
that came from
challenge.
idiots. Yeah.
We were- the thing is, when 2BD was around, they were using Ace, but we had Zere and IS2 and Idiots. They were our medics. IS2 said, yo, this mod is cool, and so we implemented Cat. Zere loved Cat after he learned it. Like, he loved it. And in Liberation there, he was doing that. We were using Cat in Liberation. And that's where we got to learn it, because with Liberation, you're going to this place, you're fighting, and it's not just, you're just doing that in an op. This is like Conquer, because there was one situation where we were, I have a video on it, actually. It's called the Battle of Vybor. And it was just complete urban fighting in this town, and we were defending it. We went down and got injured so much. The medics were like, they non-stop. They were busy. Like they done with one guy, they had to deal with a down guy. As soon as they were done with the down guy, there was another guy down they had to deal with. So it was constant for them. And
it's amazing. You cannot, like, we can't really express like how much credit we need to give to the medics for committing to such an extensive training, to such amount of pressure. I mean, same would go for leaders, but I feel like it's an all different topic.
Medics can make them break a squad.
Yeah, definitely. A good medic will like get the morale up, will get them going, and like a new medic, like, sure, they're not gonna do great, but if they still have a good sense of, I'm gonna get people up and they're gonna try their hardest, like that, just seeing someone try super hard, feel that sense of responsibility, that keeps morale up in a squad like really well. It's insane how much impact a medic has on the squad. It really is.
Oh, pardon moi.
No, yeah, but I mean, for me, if I were to pick like one thing that I think was hilarious, I don't even know how like that happened, but we were defending on some sort of a hill, and I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but we always do like a bunch of trenches. But essentially, we had one hillside that had no defense, and we built a bunch of trenches with our shovels. We go there. There was one guy. As the assault started and we needed to have our defense done, there was one guy that was running back up into the trenches, and a mortar shell just hits him straight on, right? And you see him go down, and his like body flops like full like the Gary's mod regular physics, he completely like glitches out. And he's just in the middle of a crater. He's just laying there. He's just bleeding out, and I just go up to him as the medic, and I just go, I don't think I can fix this. But, as a medic, that's what you think. You don't necessarily say that to begin with. You don't immediately go cadet mode. So I drag him back into the trenches. Some other dude, I think it was my squad leader at the time. I think it was Christian, not sure. Because I was recon medic back then. And he says, no, you can't save him. Just give him the bullet, right? And I was like, no, I'm gonna save this guy. And just it's funny because back then we still like had, whenever a patient was down, I don't know, we didn't really make a rule for this, but like we still Steam message back then. So when someone was down, you would Steam message with your patient. So you get Steam messages and you would just talk to them. And the guy had some medical experience basically. So I was medicing him, and at that time I was very new to medic. So he was constantly giving me advice. Basically the guy that's in con is giving me all the advice on how to actually medic him through Steam. So as he's bleeding out, I'm doing what the bleeding out guy is telling me to do. And I thought that was such a weird scenario, because it's like, what do I do now? And they just had to type in Steam, and I was like, oh shit, you're bleeding out, fuck, I need another bandage. He's like, they did not stitch me yet. And it was like a whole, like, he was in panic of himself dying, right? While I was learning medical at the time. It was such a stressful scenario, but it's the most fun I've had when medicing someone, like, ever. It's really fun to just be in that scenario, and like, you're both like in this case not just the medic but like the guy that's down as well. He's like, I don't want to die, save me please. I know I'm like fully ready. That took like a full mortar shell to the face, but still, please save me. Oh, that was fucking great. Like, I don't know how many liters of blood I pumped into his body, and I forget to stitch, and it just all just flows out of him again, and they have to give him more blood, and then like, oh fuck, his wound reopened again because I only stitched like a specific part of his body, and it went back and forth. And I have to say, in the end, he did get up, so I did good. I actually managed. But like, just his screams, and I mean his literal screams into the mic of joy, like full like Xbox 360 kid mic, like of like, yes, I'm up finally. Like it was great. That was such a great experience. Like for not just me to be trying, but the patient as well, just going, I know how medical works. I'm gonna help you out here, buddy, because I want to live. That was such a great experience. But yeah, no, that's I mean, the same goes for like I think working together with medics. It's always great to work together with medics. I mean, Panna, you, me, we sometimes do medical teams, right?
Yeah, that's right. So then we basically make like one head medic that can order around the other medics basically. Because the way things the way we teach medical is that we say, oh, it's your personal touch to it, so like you have to do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
But that can conflict sometimes with other medics, of course. So basically, I just tell Fenosi, oh, you be a lead medic for this op.
Or do it.
And then, yeah, that also sometimes happens. And then we just give the orders to do something. And basically, at that point, you are a quote-unquote nurse for the medic, basically. You help him out. But you don't have the constant pressure of, oh, I need to do this and this. Especially when you're like just starting out with medical, it's really nice to do this kind of system. Because the new people can like experience it in like a more calmed version. Compared to like just putting them on the field and they being too stressed to try medical again.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you're sort of like mentoring someone, so like teaching them as you go, and like having like duo teams really helps. I think in that way. I don't know. Have you ever like done that, Sir? Have you ever like worked together with a medic, like specifically assigned as a team?
I haven't really done that before because usually how it in my situation has tended to go is that you have, I'd say, one medic and like one fire team most of the time.
Oh yeah.
And then when someone goes down like really badly, it's just kind of like automatically comes that the other medic just kind of comes aid the other one. That's how it usually has gone. So I guess it's kind of that way, but not like any dedicated medical teams, except for like those few joint ops. But those were more like doctor units or like
yeah, like, but I mean, that's very specifically one guy being doctor and stuff. But
yeah.
But from my experience, like when me and Penna do together, it's also besides the fun of working together, right? It's also it's way more efficient. I've noticed. Like one can carry extra blood, one can you don't run out of supplies as quickly. It's just a way smoother experience. Like having like dedicated medics, not the way we talked about earlier in the podcast, where it's like fly back to base, get mec'd up, but more of a no. You have 2 medics per squad. That's way more ideal in my experience. At least.
Yeah, it is. Like it's just kind of like thinking about it as like the medic and the stretcher bearer. It's the good one. So you have the guy that does the like the in-depth stuff, and then you have the guy that like brings the supplies or like handles other things related.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just like if you are focusing on the not having my patient be down for like, do you want to stick to that 5 to 10 minutes? Like if that's what you want to go for, it opting for the optimization and efficiency of a medical team would essentially be the best choice.
Yeah,
it's just I think you can't always do it. Like you either go too far and it becomes too milsimy, or you go like it becomes chaotic because like Panda mentioned earlier, you have 2 medics who are completely just like opposite from each other, right? So it becomes very difficult to find the right balance. And I feel like it's possible if you train specifically, maybe if you specifically train the medic team to do said thing. Yeah, I mean, definitely, like from a leader perspective, right? If you were to look at it from a leader perspective, in a medical scenario, like let's say the leader didn't get shot down as the first person, which usually happens. Maybe it's just me thing, I don't know. But like how James, like you leading most of the time, like how do you pick up on the leading element of directing medics?
Like for me, if the medic is inexperienced, I'll just say, no, you're not going with that team, you're coming with me, because he's inexperienced, and you just bring him under, like, considering the leader, in my opinion, should have a general knowledge on how and where the medic should be used and going. So Zeri could be, let's say Zeri was under me. He doesn't know where to go directly, because one team would say, "Oh, I need a medic," and then another team would say, "No, I need the medic." So now it's the medic that has to do it, but he doesn't know where to go. So that's the leader's decision to make, or a more experienced medic, like the way Panda and Finozi do it. They do, I'll be head medic, you'll be like my nurse, They'll decide then when they get experience. No, he's on con, he's been on con, he's bleeding out, he's needs stitching, he needs blood, he's more serious than your guy that's only got a paper cut. So
Yeah.
that's where you have to decide. That's from my leader's perspective as either an SL or a platoon leader who has a medic directly under me, and he's my asset for the whole platoon or the squad. So I decide where he's needed. Because considering the leader, if you're a squad leader or platoon leader, you have the actual idea of the strategy on how you're going to win this fight, how to win this operation, So this element may be more important than the other element. So get them up first because they can ease the pressure on that other element. So there's various ways of doing it. But for me, I would rather take an inexperienced medic if there's no experienced medic around, and I'll keep him under me and he's my asset to where I can direct him where to go then. Because it's been done before. I've done it before where I've taken a medic under my wing and just said, you're my chick and I'm the Papa Duck. Basically.
Yeah, I remember a few cases where we've done that. At
Mhm.
least I remember being like a platoon medic.
Yeah. Because as I said, the US Marine Corps, they do it that way anyway, from
Yeah.
what I remember anyway. They do it that way.
That's how the
medic is a
FDF does it.
platoon asset. The corpsman is a platoon asset. So that's where I got it from, because currently I'm actually reading a book on the Battle of Way City during the Tet Offensive and how badly they done the initial few days, how bad it was for them, and the fact that they lost so many medics. They had to fly out more medics to replace those dead and wounded medics because they were out in the streets, and a medic is so vital for the platoon. They literally can save a platoon, and because of the medics going down and dying, they actually lost more men than what was necessary if the medic was still alive at that moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's a lesson that is learned from reality that I apply from reading history and knowing about actually being in the military to actually kind of applying it into a game, but only apply it to help a new guy, in that sense.
Yeah. And going back to the platoon medic thing, it's actually way more common than you think. Like, it's not only a US Marine Corps thing. As far as I recall, the Finnish Defense Forces, at least your standard like infantry platoon, the medic is a platoon asset. They are very rarely a squad asset. Squads usually have like a combat lifesaver, but that's not really the same thing as a medic, since their only thing is to do a slightly more advanced like patching up and then handing it over to the platoon medic, who will then as early as possible hand it over to the field doctors or whatever present in the area.
Yeah. There's a number of ways of doing it. Sorry, Panda, come on.
Yeah, I had some times where I would have like inexperienced leaders that just froze up and didn't know what to do. And as a medic, as an experienced medic at that point, I would like also help out the leader, suggesting things like, "Oh, it's medically not safe here," so I would suggest going out of this city, because at some point we were like stuck in like a small city, and we were stuck in this one building with like a few people that were down, and we were getting like fired from like a heli, and we couldn't get communication with like a squad leader, and we were there as a team, right? So as a medic, I had to tell him, "Oh, we need to move out," because if we stay here, we are gonna get shot at by the heli, right? So with experience, like I would say, it goes for the leader. If the leader has experience, right, you can have an inexperienced medic. But if there's an inexperienced leader, you would have to put like an experienced medic with them as well, so they like can help each other out at some points, I would say.
Yeah, because the experienced medic, if there's a mass cast and you've got an inexperienced leader, he's probably like, oh shit, what's happening there? What's happening? Where do I send medic? But if it's an experienced medic, the experienced medic knows who to treat first. How serious this person is. Is this person more serious? The experienced medic will ease the pressure from an experience in that experienced medic role, and the inexperienced leader, they'll help that, and vice versa in the other way around.
Yeah.
That's why I think just having an inexperienced medic with an experienced medic, or an experienced SL or TL who knows the role of a medic, where and when to apply a medic to a certain situation, because it could be too dangerous to send a medic out in the middle of the road. Oh, Zeri's there in the middle of the road. He's after getting shot by 5 rounds of 50 cal from that fortified position, literally staring down the road in front of him. It's not safe to send a medic out.
Yeah.
So the certain inexperienced medics will probably just run out onto the road with no smoke, no cover fire, and so therefore it's up to the leader to take the reins and do that. Where an experienced medic will say, "Oh, I need smoke out so I can retrieve this." That experienced medic will say that to the SL or to the team lead, right? Or the medic will probably have smoke grenades themselves, and they'll apply smoke grenades themselves, and they'll just ask for cover fire. It's those type of shit where the ill-experienced medic and the ill-experienced leader will learn to apply these lessons then in future ops, and they'll gain that experience. They'll improve their their knowledge. They'll improve the way they can play. They improve the way the gameplay is for the players then. And that type of aspect where, sometimes I keep saying that the medic is the little brother or sister to the leading element. They're the second most important
Definitely.
element
I feel like if you also have like if you have an experienced medic and they've also have some experience in leading as well, it's like if you go down, they're technically your automatic second IC, right? They're just your second in command. Like,
oh yeah,
if they're on experience, they'll know I need to take over now. I need to do something, and I think that's super convenient because if you're starting out as a leader as well, like knowing who your proper second IC is going to be and whatnot, it's cool to have a medic that also does leading.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's very common for medics to also beat leaders at the same time or have the same interests. I mean, they're both very intensive.
They have the
goals,
same
I would say.
interests. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah.
Yeah, because the way I can't remember who it was, but I remember in one op, I think it was Idiots, to where I was the squad lead, and there was no 2IC, there was no 2IC or TL, right? And so the medic took over, where the medic, I can't remember, it was IS2, I think it was, that just told everyone to just stop assaulting because we're just going into the meat grinder. It's no point, just wait until James gets back up. And that's when the medic takes control as like a 2IC, the second in command of the squad, where he tells everyone to just hold and fortify. Because there's no point of the medic's job getting made even more difficult without a leadership, So the medics can be the TL in that aspect, where they hold the entire platoon or the entire squad and wait for the leadership elements to come back.
It's really good.
I gotta say, leadership, like this has been said like multiple times now, but leadership and medical are really closely tied. And I think that really reflects in the fact that I'd say about 80 or 70% of the medics currently in ICC also have leadership training to some extent, or at least have interest in training.
Or a TL at least.
To a TL. Because I feel like they kind of learn how to lead, like kind of unintentionally, once you start like realizing how to deal with a casualty. And I think that like you said, like taking over if the squad leader goes down, for example, it gives you that experience that will then work as a good base to get like further team lead training to actually like apply the management skills of that.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
being
they-
a
if it-
medic, in my opinion, there's a lot. If there's a mass cast, the medic right there, straight down, he has more management than any other. He
Yeah,
has
yeah,
micromanage
100%.
Well,
If he
I
could
agree.
definitely,
any other element.
if he can see in someone's leading style or the way how they lead during an operation or mission that they aren't a medic, you can clearly see that when I feel like, I mean, maybe it could just be me, but like when I see leaders that are a tad more inexperienced, especially, or just maybe new in the leadership, and then will end up doing medicing maybe, but they haven't done it yet. You'll see that they take way more risk than they should be taking. Like they go, oh well, it's probably fine. We'll just rush in. But if they have medical experience, they'll be a lot more prepared before the assault, right? They'll have, like, if we're talking on the platoon level here, for example, because that, you know, so I can give a better example, is they'll have set up some checkpoints or some medical stations before the entire platoon assaults, knowing that medical takes a long time. If you end up needing to be medicked and your squad's down, well, etc., you are gonna need time to get back up, right? That's gonna take time. It's gonna take energy. You need to be prepared for this. And if you aren't a medic, but you're still a only leader at that point, you're not gonna think of that, I think. So I think being a medic and a leader is super like beneficial to each other.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes the other way as well. Obviously, being a medic in a medical scenario, being a leader before that makes it so that you can manage this scenario, as James mentioned before as well. You can actually manage this. You can actually take the leading role and say, yo, leaders down. Or not even that, yo, you two, I need you to do CPR. I need you to do area management and get on this guy right now. Like, I feel like it really ties in together. It's actually interesting. I never thought of it like that, but now that I think of it, if you guys explain it, that's actually really interesting. That those two really help each other.
Because
Yeah,
there was
it really-
one off before where there was two experienced leaders and a very experienced medic together. Like the experienced medic, gets people up very quickly, knows what to do. The SL is down, the experienced TL is there. He continues the assault, gets the assault done, makes the area safe for the medic even more so. Like that right there, if you get those three in experience to the same degree and level, and to the exact same authority as well. If the TL says, okay, squad leads down, this is a bit difficult, the medic takes control here. He decides when we can go because the SL's down. Or the TL knows that the squad is still capable, they still have the assets to take this spot and make it safer for the medic to do his job. Then they'll do that. It's that type of experience that's not there in ICC yet, in my opinion, concerning when it comes to TLs.
But it's something to keep in mind, I would say.
There is a few TLs that do have that, but there's even more that don't have that confidence in them yet to like take that control. Where they'll just freeze up and hold and let the medic do it.
Yeah,
but,
basically.
But they know that they have the assets to suppress and take that position to make it safer for the medic to do his job.
Yeah, I think both. Obviously, we talked about medical a lot. I think both medical and leadership are just amazing roles. They're super intensive, but they grant you that responsibility and maybe a little bit of social pressure to make sure everybody gets a good op going and everybody's having fun. But you can't credit these people enough. Like armor-free medics, especially if they also use CAT, they're amazing people that they want to commit to this. It's amazing. Same goes with leaders, but that's an entirely different subject. And I feel like if you've been listening to the podcast at this point, that you haven't had any medical idea of any idea of what medical is like in Arma Free, or in general what an advanced medical system in a video game would be like, I hope you get some insight on it by listening to this. And obviously, Panda and Zere, like you guys have given some really good insight there as well. Give some good feedback on some of our questions here and good answers. That really, I think it should maybe show to some new players like this could actually be interesting. Like especially the source you've told us, Pandas, like how you got into it through Medicking. I think that could be the same case for other people. And I mean, I don't know if there are new people, if there's any people that may have that interest, what would you recommend for them?
If you have any interest in medicing, don't be afraid to ask questions because a lot of people are gonna help. And I know it's difficult but you'll get through it. Because I have also gone through it all, and just try to have fun with it. Honestly,
Definitely, that's serious fun. And I mean, yeah, Zere, obviously, you've given some some really good stories here
Oh,
today
funny
as well.
stories.
Really good
Medics,
funny
I
stories.
remember now.
Really showed like why Arma works with medics and why the medical system works with the weight being super advanced.
I think
mean-
actually,
Yeah.
I have to say, I didn't get to say before because I kind of stopped James, but I gotta say, I think the main reason why medical works in Arma so well is because in other games, medical is usually seen as just in support of the gameplay, whereas in Arma, it is more of the gameplay to be a medic. It isn't like just to support the actual gameplay, but it is a gameplay of its own
Yeah,
to be a medic in Arma.
That's good. Yeah, I love the way you summarize
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um,
To be like, platoon is the brain, the squad leader is the spine, but the medic is the legs. You can't move without the medic.
exactly. I think that's a good summary. Obviously, again, huge credit to the people that commit to these roles and take the time to actually learn this stuff because it is a lot. And then those people that do this, that they make sure that we get to enjoy the ops, and then when we're down, they're at least still talking to us. But yeah, that being said, obviously, Panda Zere, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you.
It's been great having you guys and hearing your stories and your input on the subjects. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we end off here?
I'm probably going to intrude the show in the future as well. This is really fun.
Yes.
And I hope to. And I hope
Good.
to. And I hope to join you guys in the future as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. You guys were good guests. So
Yes, you were.
yeah. So obviously, if you are first time listening here, make sure to check us out on Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, which I presume you are, obviously subscribe, bell, all of that stuff. It really helps us out. We're doing a bunch of all of this work for free, and we would love to get some feedback on how we can improve it. Yeah. James, you want to add anything else? Or
Yeah, comment down below some funny stories and when you're a medic too. Maybe discuss other topics that have been not brought up in your opinion in this podcast, or even talk about the topics that we've talked about here. Let us know your experiences with medic, your funny stories, all of it. I'd love to read them, honestly, because it's very interesting, and there could be a lot of funny stories out there just waiting for me to read them.
Exactly. That being said, again, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Check us out on our platforms as well, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye bye.